A warning wrapped in wisdom is never meant to frighten someone, it is meant to steady their steps, sharpen their awareness, and remind them that every moment of life is fragile enough to slip away but powerful enough to transform everything. And when you share such a message with someone you love, you're not trying to alarm them, you're trying to protect the parts of them that they sometimes forget to protect themselves. Life has a way of distracting us, pulling our attention in 1,000 directions until we can't see what truly matters. That's why warnings, when spoken gently, become guidance. And guidance, when received with an open heart, becomes strength. There are people you care about who move through their days believing they have time. Time to heal, time to love, time to apologize, time to start over. But time is the greatest illusion, we never actually hold it. We only walk beside it, hoping we aren't straying too far from the path meant for us. That's why you share something like this with someone you love, not to rush them, but to remind them that delays have a price, and some opportunities never knock twice. Tell them this: you're stronger than the battles you're quietly carrying. You're more than the mistakes you've convinced yourself define your path. You're allowed to outgrow patterns, people, and places that hold you down. You're allowed to leave behind the version of yourself that survives and become the version that lives. This isn't a threat from the universe, it's a gentle nudge. A whisper. A reminder that the world bends for those who dare to move with intention. Life will try to warn you in small ways first. A sudden discomfort. A regret you can't shake. A quiet voice at night telling you that something needs to change. But most people ignore the whispers until they become storms. You don't have to wait for the storm. Pay attention to the early signs, the heaviness you feel around certain people, the exhaustion that comes from pretending, the dreams you keep postponing because responsibilities have become cages disguised as routines. Warnings wrapped in wisdom are invitations to reclaim your life, not from others, but from the habits that dim your own light. Tell someone you love that they deserve more than endurance. They deserve evolution. They deserve mornings that feel like beginnings instead of recoveries. They deserve nights that bring rest instead of worry. They deserve relationships where they are seen, not just tolerated. And they deserve to look at themselves without flinching at the memory of their past. The world doesn't always stop to give you clarity. Sometimes you have to carve that clarity yourself. You have to pause long enough to realize what you've been running from, what you've been holding on to, what you've been sacrificing your joy for. Because the truth is, the things you ignore often cost more than the things you confront. That's the warning. And the wisdom? You get to choose differently. You get to step out of the cycle that repeats itself not because you are weak, but because familiarity feels safer than freedom. But here's what they must know: the person you're sharing this with, the person who forgets their own worth, the person who gives so much that they run on empty while pretending they're full, life is asking you to wake up, not out of fear but out of hope. You have chapters left to write. You have people you haven't met yet who will love you in ways you've never been loved before. You have victories that are waiting for your courage to claim them. Do not waste your days believing that pain is permanent or that healing is unreachable. Every sunrise is proof that beginnings don't ask for permission, they simply arrive. Tell them that forgiveness isn't weakness. It's choosing peace over poison. It's loosening the chains of resentment so your heart can remember how to feel light again. And self-forgiveness is the most important of all. You cannot build a new life on a foundation of self-blame. The past is over. You're not. There is a difference. Tell them that love is not meant to bruise. It is meant to expand. It is not meant to confuse your spirit or make you question your worth. The right people may not arrive loudly, but they will arrive gently, and you'll know the difference because your soul will unclench in their presence. That's another warning hidden in wisdom. Let go of what hurts, even if you've grown accustomed to it. Comfort that crushes you is still harm. Tell them to stop waiting for the perfect moment. Life rarely hands perfection, it hands possibility. You take the possibility and shape it with your effort, your vision, your perseverance. Dreams don't expire, they starve. Feed them before they disappear from neglect. Tell them this too, some seasons require courage more than comfort. There will be times when growth feels like breaking because you're shedding the parts of yourself you've long outgrown. But breaking is not the end. Breaking is the door. Every transformation begins with pressure, discomfort, and the bravery to leave behind things you thought you needed. The warning inside the wisdom here is simple. If you ignore the call to grow, life will eventually push you. And the push will be harder than the whisper. Tell them that people change. Not always because they want to, but because life teaches them lessons that rearrange their souls. Some will drift away. Some will disappoint you. Some will return. Some will surprise you. But you must not lose yourself in the tides. Hold your own center. Stand firm in your values, even when the world tries to bend them. Integrity is the kind of strength that never rots. Tell them to cherish the quiet moments more. The laughter that arrives unexpectedly. The conversations that feel like sunlight. The gentle acts that go unnoticed but hold everything together. These are the real treasures of life, the ones we overlook until they are gone. The warning is not to fear losing them, but to notice them while they are here. And finally, tell someone you love this: you matter more than you realize. Your presence affects people in ways you may never see. Your absence would leave a space that nothing else could fill. You are a miracle simply because you exist. And you don't need to earn your worth, it is already yours. Share this with them not as a threat, not as superstition, not as fear, but as a reminder that they are alive, they are capable. And they are still becoming. The world is waiting for the strongest, clearest, most unapologetic version of them. This message is only the beginning. and if they ask you why you're sending them something like this, tell them the truth, because you can see their strength even on the days when they can't. Because you've watched them carry storms with a calm face and swallow pain with a steady voice. Because you know what it looks like when a person starts to dim, and you refuse to let someone you love become a shadow of themselves. Sometimes people forget that they are allowed to shine again, that they don't have to stay small, that they don't have to stay quiet about the things that break them or the things that build them. A warning wrapped in wisdom is a reminder to look inward, not to search for flaws but to rediscover fire. Tell them that their dreams are not foolish. They are not too late. They are not too big. They are not unrealistic. The world has always been changed by people who were unreasonable enough to believe they could do what others called impossible. Remind them that doubt is loudest right before a breakthrough. Most people quit when the path becomes steep, not realizing that the view is only revealed to those who keep climbing. This is why you share a message like this, to encourage someone to hold on even when their hands are shaking, even when their heart feels tired, even when the future seems uncertain. Strength isn't the absence of fear, it's the decision to move forward despite it. Tell them that healing doesn't always look like progress. Sometimes healing is messy. Sometimes it feels like taking 3 steps back just to move 1 step forward. Sometimes it looks like old wounds reopening because your heart finally feels safe enough to deal with them. That's not failure, that's release. Tell them they don't have to rush the process. They don't have to pretend they're fine. They don't have to explain their pain to anyone who hasn't earned the right to hear their story. Healing is personal, sacred, and non-linear. But every day they choose to keep going, they are rewriting their ending. Tell them to be careful with their energy. Not everyone deserves access to their heart. Not everyone deserves their kindness or their time. Some people only love what they can take, not who you truly are. Warn them about the sweetness of temporary people who appear like blessings but behave like lessons. The wisdom here is knowing when to stay and when to walk away. Tell them that even good hearts must learn boundaries or they will drown in a sea of expectations that were never theirs to carry. It's not selfish to protect your peace, it's necessary. Tell them that solitude is not loneliness. Sometimes the world is too loud, and the soul needs silence to speak. In quiet moments, truths reveal themselves. In solitude, clarity rises like dawn. Tell someone you love that it's okay to step back, to breathe, to disconnect from the noise so they can hear their own intuition again. The warning is simple: if you don't choose stillness occasionally, exhaustion will choose it for you. Life has a way of forcing pauses when we ignore our limits. But wisdom allows us to pause before we break. Tell them they don't need to prove their worth to anyone. They don't need to chase validation or perform strength for an audience that doesn't understand their depth. They are allowed to be soft. They are allowed to feel. They are allowed to admit when they're struggling. There is no weakness in vulnerability, there is courage in truth. The bravest souls are the ones who don't hide behind masks. Remind them that authenticity will always attract what is meant for them and repel what is not. Tell them to stop shrinking. To stop apologizing for existing. To stop making themselves small to fit into places they've outgrown. They owe it to themselves to step into rooms as they are, not as the world has pressured them to become. Confidence isn't arrogance. It's the quiet understanding that they have survived enough to trust themselves. Tell them that the world is already full of replicas, what it needs are originals. Tell someone you love that the guilt they carry is heavier than it needs to be. They don't have to punish themselves for past decisions made with limited knowledge or wounded hearts. Growth means they would choose differently today, and that alone is proof of transformation. Remind them that self-compassion is a form of maturity, and letting go is a form of wisdom, and tell them this, perhaps more urgently than anything else: the people who love you are not guaranteed. Time is fragile. Life doesn't wait for you to say the words you've been holding back. So call the people you miss. Apologize to the hearts you've hurt. Forgive the ones who didn't know better. Tell the people you care about that you love them while you still can. Regret grows in silence, healing grows in connection. Tell them that they are not behind. They are not failing. They are not lost. The timeline they compare themselves to is an illusion. Life unfolds differently for everyone, and the pace of others is not a measurement of their worth. Even the smallest steps forward are steps. Even the slowest growth is growth. Even the tiniest sparks can become flames. Tell them that everything they are going through right now, every hardship, every confusion, every moment of doubt, is shaping them for something greater than they can imagine. Pain is not pointless, it is preparation. Pressure is not punishment, it is refinement. Life removes what is not meant for you. Not to leave you empty but to make room for what will nourish you. Share all of this with them because you love them. Because you want them to rise. Because you want them to stop hiding from themselves. Because you believe in the version of them that they haven't met yet. A warning wrapped in wisdom is a blessing disguised as honesty. And sometimes honesty is the only thing strong enough to save someone from the path they're quietly slipping down. And now tell them this, gently but firmly: life is shorter than we pretend it is. We all walk around as if we will have endless chances to become who we want to be, endless time to fix what is broken, endless days to express what we truly feel. But the truth, the quiet, uncomfortable truth, is that moments pass whether we honor them or not. And wasted time doesn't return. That is the warning. But the wisdom is this: every new breath is another chance. Every sunrise is a reset. Every heartbeat is permission to choose differently. Nothing is over as long as you are still here. Tell them that one day they will look back and realize that the things that once terrified them were the very things that grew them. The closed doors protected them. The heartbreak awakened them. The delays redirected them. What felt like loss was clearing the path for alignment. Life is kind, even when it's hard. But you only see that kindness in hindsight, unless someone reminds you to trust the process while you're still in the storm. That's why you're sharing this message. To be that reminder, tell them to stop postponing joy. Happiness is not something to chase in the future, it's something to allow in the present. Too many people wait for the right time to feel alive, not realizing that life is happening right now, in ordinary moments that will someday be remembered as precious. Tell them to laugh more freely, to love more boldly, to choose peace more intentionally. Tell them to let go of the grudges that rot the heart from the inside. Tell them to forgive not because others deserve it, but because they deserve rest. Tell them not to abandon their own dreams out of fear of failure. Failure is not fatal. It is feedback. It is a teacher dressed as disappointment. Nothing destroys a dream faster than the belief that failure will destroy you. But the truth is, every successful person you admire has a trail of broken attempts behind them. The only difference is that they didn't stop. Tell them that resilience is not a trait they're born with, it's a decision they make every time life knocks them down. And they have already survived more than what lies ahead. Tell someone you love that the universe is not indifferent to their wishes. When they move with intention, opportunities rearrange themselves around their courage. When they are ready, doors appear. When they dare to step forward, paths reveal themselves. Life responds to action, not hesitation. That is the wisdom. The warning? Hesitation builds regret. And regret is far heavier than effort. Tell them that they must be careful with the stories they repeat to themselves. The mind is powerful, it will build an entire world out of a single belief. If they tell themselves they are not enough, they will find evidence for it. If they tell themselves they are capable, they will rise to it. If they tell themselves they are broken, they will live small. If they tell themselves they are evolving, they will grow. The things we whisper to ourselves in the dark shape who we become in the light. Remind them to speak with kindness. Even to themselves, tell them that they deserve love that doesn't confuse them, loyalty that doesn't break them, and peace that doesn't demand survival mode. They deserve friendships that nourish, not drain. They deserve environments where they can breathe. They deserve to be surrounded by people who don't just applaud their strengths but hold them gently in their weaknesses. Life is too precious to settle for connections that feel like battles. Tell them that not everyone will understand their journey. Not everyone will support their decisions. Not everyone will clap for their victories. And that is perfectly okay. They are not here to live a life approved by others. They are here to live a life aligned with their own soul. The wisdom here is recognizing that acceptance is not something they are obligated to seek. The warning is that seeking it endlessly will exhaust them. Tell them to take care of their body, their mind, their heart, their spirit. Neglect in any area eventually creates imbalance in every area. Rest when they're tired, not when they collapse. Eat when their body asks, not when time allows. Cry when their heart is heavy, not when pain forces it out. Talk to someone when the weight becomes too much, not when silence becomes unbearable. They are human, not a machine, and humans require gentleness. Tell them they are allowed to start over as many times as necessary. Life is not a straight line. It is a series of restarts, redirections, and rebirths. They don't need anyone's permission to rewrite their story. They only need their own courage. And courage grows when used. Tell them, finally, that you care about them. That you want them to see their own value. That you want them to walk a path that honors their soul. That this message isn't meant to alarm them, but to lift them. To protect them. To remind them of their own light. A warning wrapped in wisdom is a gift, and you are offering it because their life matters to you. And as they read these words, may they feel something shift inside them, a quiet awakening, a gentle strengthening, a reaffirmation that they are meant for more. May they step forward with clearer eyes, steadier hands, and a braver heart. May they choose themselves, heal themselves, love themselves, and rise into the version of their life that has been waiting for them all along. You send something like this to someone you love because sometimes a soul needs to be reminded of its own brilliance. And sometimes a single message can be the spark that changes the entire direction of a life. If you want this entire thing rewritten into one combined piece, expanded further, or shaped into a shareable message, just tell me.